Hello my friends and welcome back to my channel. Today we are trying out different substitutes to Alizarin Crimson. Actually, Alizarin Crimson is a beautiful color, but it's very controversial because it's apparently fugitive. So I'm trying all the possible replacements and see how much we like them. So I will swatch them with you and find a solution for replacing Alizarin Crimson. I have different brands to try: Rembrandt, Sennelier, Winsor Newton, Schminke, Rubens, also Lukas, Rosa Gallery and A.Gallo, the Italian handmade watercolor paint that I just reviewed. So let's start swatching. The first pigment we are swatching is the original Alizarin Crimson by Winsor Newton, which is PR, the pigment PR 83, which is the true pigment of Alizarin Crimson, which I find very, very beautiful. So I have it, but it's fugitive, so I would only use it, for instance, in a sketchbook. But for something that you have to sell or to hang, stay away, just maybe buy a replacement if you can, but in a sketchbook it would not be a problem. So this is the original pigment. I have another tube by Rembrandt with the same pigment. The color is different, it's more rosy, but it's always PR 83 and it is Mother Lake Deep. I like better the Winsor Newton, it's slightly more muted, but let's wait until it dries. In any case, this pigment is, like all Rembrandt colors, is a very nice professional color, but it uses the infamous PR 83, which is fugitive. Now this is the Lukas, the first replacement that we see, and this is by Lukas and it is PR 176, which is a classic replacement for Alizarin Crimson. Now this pigment is benzimidazolone carmine and it is one of the classic replacement for Alizarin Crimson according to handprint, which is my main source of information about pigments. So the color, I think that is more similar to the Mother Lake Deep from Rembrandt than to the original Alizarin Crimson from Winsor Newton, which is beautiful, very beautiful color. What a shame it is not lightfast. Then we go to the next pigment, another classic replacement, which is PR 177. Here it is by Rubens, and this pigment 177, it's another classic replacement for Alizarin Crimson and it is Madder Red. Rubens is always very vibrant, but sometimes it has some important dry shift, I find. And this is Anthraquinone Red. Another replacement suggested by handprint is Magenta, PR 122, which is quinacridone magenta, but it's almost an opera rose, so I don't think I would use this instead of my beautiful Alizarin Crimson. but as it is suggested as a classic replacement, I wanted to check out. Let's go to next pigment. Is Permanent Alizarin Crimson by Winsor Newton. So the professional range, and it's the same maker of the original Alizarin Crimson, and let's see the difference. This is PR 179, another very common substitute for Alizarin Crimson. It is Parileni Maroon, the same pigment of Parileni Maroon, so we're going to see also Parileni Maroon. It's granulating. I like this very much because it is granulating, and it's very vibrant. I don't mind this Permanent Alizarin Crimson. I think I could choose this. Let's go to Parileni Maroon. I have it in a full pan here, and this is always from the Winsor Newton professional range. It's slightly warmer than the other solutions. I like Parileni Maroon very much. It's very vibrant. It apparently granulates. Let's see when it dries. And it's very rich. And I love the mass tone. Look at this. It's different from the original one, but they're all different. But it's a lovely color. Now we're trying my first Alizarin Crimson ever, which is Cotman. You know, the student range by Winsor Newton. And this is the first Alizarin Crimson I used, and they use PR 206, so a completely different pigment, but the color is very similar. It's to Alizarin Crimson. It's more rosy to the original one, but it is a nice one. I think maybe we could mix Parileni Maroon with this Alizarin Crimson and obtain something similar to the original Alizarin Crimson. Another pigment that is suggested by handprint is Quinacridone Rose PV19, which is also called Quinacridone Violet, because it is a very versatile pigment that can have different results. Can be violet, can be rosy, can be red. Here it is absolutely violet. It's called Mother Red Deep by Paul Rubens. But I think this is not at all an Alizarin Crimson replacement. This is by all means a violet. Lukas is also using Quinacridone Rose for its genuine rose, but it's more a pastel color. It's not at all a replacement of Alizarin Crimson. But look at this, they're both PV19, but this is Quinacridone Violet and this is Quinacridone Rose. They're completely different from the same pigment, but I wouldn't say that we could use this as a replacement. Let's now go to the multi-pigment. The next one is Mother Red Dark by Schminke, and it's made with a combination of PV19 and PR 179. So this is absolutely a mix that can work to replace Alizarin Crimson. This is very vibrant rosy red. Let's wait until it dries. Like all Schminke is so pigmented, I put a minuscule dot of color and look how long it goes. It goes really a long way. Then I have Sennelier. Sennelier, this is a bit confusing because In French, it's called Lac de Garonne Foncé, which is Red Mother Lake Deep, and Mother Lake Deep, and in English it's translated as Alizarin Crimson. So this is actually a dark Alizarin Crimson, should translate as dark Alizarin Crimson. Wow, this is very beautiful. Sennelier is one of my favorite brands. I should buy it more often. This is absolutely gorgeous. It's a dark, rich, pigmented color. Wonderful. Wonderful. Maybe it's too warm to replace Alizarin Crimson, but it's absolutely wonderful. Then we go to Rosa Gallery, my new favorite palette, and this is Mother Red. It's made with PR 177 and PR 264, two of the common replacements for Alizarin Crimson. This is very red, maybe too much. It's very, very vibrant, but Rosa Gallery, which is made in Ukraine, is absolutely wonderful paint. I can't say well enough of this paint. I just touched the paint and it immediately melts and re-wet it, and look at the result. And now our last one is this paint, which is handmade in Italy, A.Gallo. And this is made of 3 pigments, a different formula. And this is made with PR 177, PR 144, and Quinacridone Violet, PV 19. Like all watercolor from this brand, it's very pigmented, very rich. And I see a slight granulation. Let's see if it stays granulating after it dries. Let's wait until it dries. While we are waiting for our reds to dry, our Alizarin Crimsons to dry, I'm trying to mix some of these replacements that we are swatching with some primary colors and the green to see the result. This is the original Alizarin Crimson with colors taken from my Paul Rubens palette, which is very vibrant and perfect for this type of swatches. This is Indian Yellow. I can write it maybe. Indian Yellow. French Ultramarine Blue, and Emerald Green. It's Paul Rubens. All of them. This is phthalo green. So let's try with the Mother Red Dark by Schminke. First of all, small dot here. Beautiful flow on paper, even like this. Beautiful. And then I will just mix some on paper, directly on paper. This is, sorry, this is not Indian Yellow, this is Cadmium Yellow. I have to correct it. Very pigmented. And the result is beautiful, very vibrant. With now with French Ultramarine. a beautiful purple. I love to mix on paper. If you follow my channel, you know that I like to mix watercolor on paper because it gives color separation and the effect is always very nice. This is very intense reddish purple, violet. I will add in a corner some more blue to see if we can get a bluer purple in a corner. I like to play with my mixes. Beautiful effect. And now emerald green, you see with the original Alizarin Crimson, it gives a beautiful gray, a dull gray, very nice. Let's see what happens with this Matter Red Deep by Schminke. It's a very cold green. And it gives this translucent, beautiful gray. I like to make grays with the pink and viridian or emerald, because look at this warm gray. Now it's too much green maybe, but I wanted to counteract this red. Okay, we'll let it be and see what happens. Now let's try with the same maker. This was the original Alizarin Crimson by Winsor Newton, and here we have the substitute, the permanent Alizarin Crimson. Winsor Newton is always a nice surprise. So professional, so perfect all the time. Just a tiny dot is enough because it's so pigmented that now let's go with yellow. This beautiful Indian yellow, cadmium yellow, sorry. Cadmium is a bit opaque, so the resulting color is also opaque. Very vibrant, very beautiful. The purple with ultramarine. Look at how beautiful it is to mix directly on paper. I will add some more ultramarine in a corner to get a bluer shade of. Now we let this be and see what happens. And now our gray with the viridian. Wow, a lot of red, sorry. But that's part of painting, that sometimes you have some human error. I will add some. This is going to be darker because there is more paint than here, for instance. So take this into account, it's a human difference. But in this case, let me put something here just to see how it is watered down. Very nice. And this concentration is very dark. because it is the three primary colors together. So then I make something different. I put small dot here, here, and here. Always experimenting with my colors. I love this color by Sennelier. It's maybe not perfectly an Alizarin Crimson, but it's wonderful. It's a wonderful red. Okay, now with cadmium. This is absolutely darker. It's less vibrant, it's a bit duller. It's more on the brownish side, like it reminds me of gold ochre. It's not really an orange, it's more brownish. Then we go to the French ultramarine. This is beautiful, transparent. Wonderful, this mix. I will put some extra blue in a corner to see what happens. It's beautiful granulation, because ultramarine, and French ultramarine particularly, is a very granulating paint, so it assists a strong granulation in this mix. And then we go to the emerald green. This becomes more brownish than gray, because it's warmer, this Sennelier version of Alizarin Crimson. You see that it's not as cold as in these first two, it's warmer. Here also I will try to water it down to see what happens. And it is also granulating, I think. Okay, wonderful. We make this dry and we come back to evaluate it and comment it. Now my paint is dry, and remember that the original Alizarin Crimson was this one, which is a wonderful color, but fugitive. So I think that the replacement offered by Winsor Newton, the permanent Alizarin Crimson, is very, very close to the original one, without the problems of fugitive, of being fugitive, because it's light fast. And I also like very much this version by Lukas, and the Paul Rubens is also very nice, because they're slightly muted, just like the original. Same with the Schminke version, is also very nice. Whereas the Sennelier, the Rosa Gallery and the A.Gallo are slightly different, they are stronger. They're also very beautiful, but they have their own personality, they are stronger. And same with the Parileni Maroon, is definitely different. Doesn't look very much like an Alizarin Crimson, so I would not consider this as a replacement for Alizarin Crimson. It has a place of honor in my palette, but not as a replacement of Alizarin Crimson. Now, in this moment, I'm using in my palette the Cotman Alizarin Crimson, which is student grade, but you know the Cotman by Winsor Newton is super student grade, and I like very much this hue. But when I finish this, I will use the professional range, and I think I will use this. These three made with the PV19, the quinacridone violet, has nothing to do, so just don't consider them. So the winner for me is the Winsor Newton Professional Permanent Alizarin Crimson, followed by Schminke, which is wonderful. It's slightly muted, just like the original. And the Lukas Alizarin Crimson is also very nice. And this is also would be a nice choice. It's a student gray, so it's slightly less pigmented, which is the Cotman. It's also very nice. These three, I would keep one of these three in my palette as a stronger red, but not as a replacement of Alizarin Crimson. Let's see the mixes now. Okay, these are the mixes that are dry. I remind you that this is cadmium so these are my mixes once dry. I have mixed my 4 replacements. I have mixed the original Alizarin Crimson and 3 replacements, the one by Schminke, the Sennelier and the Winsor Newton permanent Alizarin Crimson with some colors, which is cadmium yellow by Paul Rubens, French ultramarine and emerald green, always by Paul Rubens. Let's say that they're all very vibrant and beautiful, and they perform exceptionally well in mixes, although they are multi-pigment, like the Sennelier is a multi-pigment and the Schminke is also a multi-pigment. And the Sennelier, it's warmer and darker, and you can see it immediately in mixes. The gray is warmer, and the orange with cadmium yellow is almost a brick color. It's almost a burnt sienna, but it's a wonderful color, and the mixes are very beautiful, just different from the original. And between these two, I would say they're both perfect. The gray that you get with the Schminke is wonderful. This is a formula for gray that I seldom use. I use more often the blue and burnt sienna formula, but I must remind myself to use this gray for colder grays. It's wonderful, and it's Alizarin Crimson and emerald green. The purple are very nice, and the orange as well. So I would say that we have found some perfect replacements for Alizarin Crimson that are not fugitive. Now it's very much about your taste, about what is available in your country. This is very much about the price, because you can go from Cotman, which is a perfect replacement and it is very affordable, to Schminke, which is very expensive out of Europe. I'm in Europe, so it's very good. The Sennelier, the French brand that I like so much. Alizarin Crimson. Rembrandt, that in Europe is very easy to find, and it has a perfectly good value for money. It's a very good brand, but no, I don't know how easy it is to find it in the US outside of Europe. I think you can. And the Winsor Newton, the permanent Alizarin Crimson, this one. Very nice result. So it's really a matter of availability and taste. If you have some experience with the replacement, the substitute for Alizarin Crimson, please do let me know in the comments, because of course this is not exhaustive. And if you have liked this video, do not hesitate to like and subscribe. And this is all for now. A big ciao from Elisabetta, your Italian preferred watercolor artist. Ciao!